everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes of August 9, 2016, if I get a motion to approve,
So moved.
if I get a second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay. Just before we move forward for clarification, Mary Jaka, you filled out do you want to speak on the soccer complex or on general public comment? Soccer, oh, okay, thank you.
There he is.
We were worried about you. Okay. So we don't have any general public comment slips, so we're going to move on to new business. 5A, we have here Netta Zayer with Downtown Specific Plan.
Good evening, Chair Velasco and Commissioners. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear tonight a little update about the downtown plan. I'm Netta Zayer. I'm with the Community Development Department. I'm a planner here in the city. I specifically am a planner that oversees the downtown. And wanted to give you guys a bit of an update of what's been occurring in the downtown and what's coming up. This process kind of went through Planning Commission and City Council, so you weren't able to get a full understanding of what had been going on in the downtown, so I wanted to come tonight and brief you on that and then tell you about opportunities for your participation coming in the future that we would love for you to get involved with. If you could go to the slide up here shows a graphic of what the existing boundaries of the downtown plan area are. This downtown plan was updated about a year ago, and it went through amendments through the Planning Commission as well as the City Council, and went through an update really to think of new strategies and ways that we could accomplish the downtown vision and see growth and revitalization in the downtown. The old approach of the plan was really to wait for redevelopment to come into the area. It was created in a time of economic growth back before the recession hit in 2007. So the original plan, which was adopted in 2008, expected that people were going to come in, buy up land, redevelop everything, and that was going to re-energize the downtown. However, the recession hit and we didn't see progress in that way. And so our department was tasked with revisioning and recreating a strategy that would actually activate the downtown. Our strategy is a three-prong approach that includes partnerships, activities, and beautification. The prong about activities was really the catalyst for what created the Downtown Fridays event that happens now at Town Center West parking lot. The partnerships is really an effort from our department to really work with new businesses and developers that want to come into the downtown to incentivize making downtown the most attractive, affordable, and easiest location in the city to redevelop, to entice developers to look at the downtown area. And then the prong about beautification is where you're going to see a lot of activity coming up in the next year. Two plans we're going to be really working on this coming year are, one, a streetscape plan. The streetscape plan was a grant that we applied for from Caltrans. And the grant was to take a look at our existing streetscapes in the downtown and find a way to beautify them and make them more pedestrian, bicycle friendly, and more walkable area that you would see in a traditional downtown. The idea of some traffic calming or widening of sidewalks, street trees, street furniture, crosswalks, lighting, all those kind of amenities that are seen in a downtown that really make it an area where people walk around. The two pictures that are up there, the one on the right is downtown Santa Maria. It's just right on Main Street. And as you can see, the bones and the skeletons of what we have in our downtown aren't too far from the picture on the left. And so there are options we could explore. You know, they've got the same storefronts, same street, cars, but there's some extra additions that have made this picture on the left more attractive. So we're going to explore all of that in this downtown streetscape plan. And then the second plan we're going to be working on is a core master plan of the downtown area. There are lots of opportunity sites in the downtown that we could look at in terms of redevelopment. A lot of those sites are actually city-owned or operated sites. And so we do want to take a look at, are the existing vacant areas or vacant lots in the city downtown, what could they be redeveloped as? Could they become open space plaza areas, buildings, mixed use opportunities, activity centers? And so we do want to explore the idea of coming up with a master plan of how we do strategically redevelop our downtown. In that, we do want to program open spaces, we do want to program art, we want to look at opportunities where we can incorporate both of those things into this plan. And that is where your commission gets involved. And so coming up, we're going to have lots of public engagement. We were awarded that grant from Caltrans, and we were also awarded another grant from the Santa Barbara Foundation to do both of these plans. And so coming in winter and spring, we're going to be implementing that and hiring a consultant to help with those efforts. We are going to do lots of public engagement and go out to the community and to neighborhoods and churches and hold workshops and interest meetings and things of that nature to really ask the community what they want to see done in this area. And so we would love the Recreation and Parks Commission to be involved. We created a downtown committee to kind of help steer this efforts, and Chair Velasco is on that downtown committee, so she will be updating you as to the progress of what will be coming. But if you or anyone that you're involved with would like to be a part of these public engagement outreach, or if you would like to be involved yourselves and put your input on what you want to see happen, we'd love to have your participation. So that's all I have for this presentation. If you have any quick questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We can go ahead and open it for questions.
The meetings that happen in the winter and the spring, so we will all be notified of when those take place?
Yes.
So that we can attend if we're available?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No.
Not at this point.
Thank you, Netta.
Thank you for your time.
Like she said, I'll be the commission representative, so I'll be coming back to you with updates on what's happening with the Downtown Specific Committee and the plan. And I believe we have our first meeting this Thursday, so moving forward.
Just have one quick question. In that it's in the downtown area and certainly along Broadway, I'm assuming the Caltrans has a pretty active involvement in this committee?
Caltrans has a very active involvement in the Streetscape Plan, as they are the rewarders of the grant and a major partner of it.
Okay.
And so they're going to be part of every step of the Streetscape Plan, from the outreach to what decisions are made about what should be implemented. So we'll get early buy-in from them, and then from there, once we have a plan, we can actually go to them for permitting to implement.
Okay.
Thank you, Netta. Okay, moving forward, we're going to go to item 5B, sports field use public hearing. Before we commence, we have a few announcements that we'd like to make, just to make this go smoothly. So if anybody does need, and I should do this in Spanish, si alguien requiere servicios bilingües, si no entienden el idioma inglés, la señora Lupián, no sé dónde está. Okay, está atrás. Ella está traduciendo la junta, o si no tienen todavía el servicio de traducción, si se pueden arrimar con ella para eso. If everybody could please turn in their speaker slips that will be speaking, so that we can commence. Once the public comment has began, we can no longer accept speaker slips. So please, if you could bring them up.
Jim.
Also, just to let the public know, this meeting is being videotaped. It's usually available on our city webpage later this week. So if anybody is interested, or you know somebody that was interested in viewing the public comment, they can also go to the city website later this week and download that. So if I could have Alex announce the public hearing by title and provide a brief overview of the process for the speakers, and any other.
Sorry, before the public hearing starts.
Si necesitan servicio de traducción, la señora Lupiana, aquí atrás del cuarto, pueden agarrar el equipo que usan.
Okay.
It's okay. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Tonight's public hearing will be addressing the issue of sports fields in the city of Santa Maria. Commissioner Velasco has already mentioned that if you wish to address the commission during the public hearing, that we do need a yellow slip from you, and they're in the back of the room. If you have any handout materials, and thank you for those of you that are already giving me handout material, you can bring those forward now, and we'll make sure that the commissioners get a copy of those things. When you are recognized to come up and speak, we'll ask you to come to the podium, state your name, your address, and whether you're, in this case, you're here to talk about the sport, what sport maybe you're associated with. The commission is here to listen tonight. This is not a give and take kind of a situation. They're here to hear your opinions, and then the commission will study those opinions and come up with their discussions. So if you have questions, specific questions that you need answered, then you should direct those to myself or to Jim Davis, the parks manager. We can gather those questions and pass them on to the commission. Housekeeping, the restrooms, the public restrooms, the women's restroom is right here in the hallway, and that's unlocked. The outside restroom is the men's restroom. If you need that unlocked, you'll need to see us for the key up here, and just come in the door here, and we'll be happy to get it open for you. After the hearing is concluded or the last speaker speaks, the chair will close the meeting to the public, and the commissioners will have the opportunity to discuss topics that you bring up and to direct questions to the staff about those items. Thank you.
So we're going to go ahead and begin. I have my first speaker slip, William Milena, Santa Maria Girls Softball.
Good evening. First of all, I just want to point out that I have no, with soccer, I'm just here worried about what's going to happen to the baseball fields and the softball fields, which are disappearing at a dramatic rate here in Santa Maria. We had 2 at Presker Park that are gone. We had 1 at Armstrong Park that is gone. We had 1, where's the other park? Well, anyways, and the schools, all the schools have taken their parks out, their baseball fields. We have no places except for Adams School is the last one that still has a field. This summer, Miller School took out one of the only 2 Babe Ruth fields in the city, and they took that field out. So now we're looking at 24 fields for soccer, which is not even half of what they need. I mean, I'm representing a nonprofit league, Santa Maria Girls Softball. I'm the vice president there. And we need to keep our softball fields and add to our softball fields and baseball fields for the city before we build a soccer complex for soccer clubs, which are for profit, which we are non-profit organizations, West Side, South Side, North Side, Babe Ruth, all these teams. I'm a 4th generation Santa Marian, and I played Southside Little League, I played Babe Ruth, I played at the Boys and Girls Club, I played Santa Maria High School, and my daughter, she plays right now Santa Maria Girls Softball. We have to fight continuously with other teams from Orchid, Santa Maria baseball teams. We have nowhere to practice because all the schools are gone. It's not like it was when we were growing up as kids, when you had fields at every school. Those are gone. The gates are locked. So all the parks are taken away from us. There's no
One
public.
minute.
Yes, ma'am.
1 minute.
Oh, it's done? I'm done?
You have 1 minute.
Oh, I had left. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is before you as a commission look at doing all this, you should look at reinstalling some of the baseball fields to where they were taken away, is what I'm saying, is because you got to remember, these are non-profit organizations that are looking for help from the city and the commission, not for profit. And if you continue to take it away, then where are these kids going to play? The ones that you guys are concerned about, gangs, and how they're going to be raised up and stay off the streets. If you take the baseball fields away, then those kids have nowhere to turn.
Thank you,
And
sir.
it's an alarming rate that they're
Thank you,
being
sir.
taken away. Thank you.
Just want to remind you, because I didn't say it before, you have the 4 minutes to speak, and I'll give you the 1 minute, and then I'll thank you, and if you could stop speaking to give everybody an opportunity. Our second speaker is Michael Borges.
Thank you, Commission, for having the meeting tonight. I appreciate you adjusting the time for us to get a little bit of practice in the night, so thank you very much. If you're here from a soccer organization, whether you're a player, parent, coach, board member, supporter, family member, could you just raise your hand? Thank you very much. Great, outstanding. I wanted to cover 3 things tonight with my 4 minutes. One is who we are, how we're linked together and working together, and how we can work together with the commission to help address this need. If we could have next slide, please. Starting off, my name is Mike Borges. I'm the president of Coastal Valley Soccer Club, a nonprofit organization here based in Santa Maria. I wanted to give you guys just a quick glimpse of the landscape of the soccer community within Santa Maria. SMVYSA, which I consider a jewel in the valley, is as far as I know, the longest youth sports established, continuously operating organization in the county. Established in 1976, and everything that we can talk about tonight, you can point back to them and know that the foundation is there. Orchid United Soccer League, which you could say was maybe born out of more recreational need, has for a long time been setting the standard of what a good recreational league should be run and how it's done. They also have a club soccer component, but that organization is also a nonprofit organization. Central City Soccer League has grown tremendously to the need in our valley. It has historically been a men's league, but they now offer a women's league and a youth component. There are over 2,400 adult and youth members in that organization. Over the last several years, due to the need and the want of the sport, there have been additional leagues started, additional men's league. Santa Bonita School District elementary schools are competing in a soccer league. Boys and Girls Club has stepped in to do a junior high soccer league, and of course we have our high schools. I can't overemphasize the importance of the schools and being related to the sports, because for myself as a lifelong resident in Santa Maria and growing up on the north side of Santa Maria, youth sports is what got me on the correct path and kept me out of trouble. After I got out of the military and I came home, I wanted to raise my family here, and I wanted my kids to have that same experience. Sometimes you can't always go home again. Santa Maria wasn't 35,000 people anymore. As was already mentioned, the school fields were all locked up, and coaching and being in a youth sport participant is different. Coastal Valley Soccer Club provides competitive youth soccer, club travel soccer for Santa Maria. We have over 40 teams. And we also have referee association with over 400 referees. That is youth and adult referees. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we're linked. All of the soccer community has come together. We are all working together as it is right now. With the Men's League and CVSE, we share fields, we share assets, we share resources. The recreational leagues, we have reached out with them and we've helped them develop interleague play. We're letting them use fields. We're doing academy training for our recreational coaches and players. and everyone is linked. People are coaching high school. I coach at Pioneer Valley. There's many other people here that are associated with club and youth who also coach at the high school level. One Action Community Coalition has helped us come together to work as one group. Next slide, please. What is the fruits of our labor? It's the list of players that I could think of in about 15 minutes today that have went on and played at the professional level or have played at the college level. Are we only successful if we send kids to college? No. If a kid only plays recreation the entire time, that is awesome. They found the perfect fit in the sport that helps them. Next slide, please. What we need. I asking the commission tonight that you form a committee today to work with the One Action Community Coalition, and let's develop a strategic plan today. Let's get all the right people in the room for whatever branches of city government we need to. Let's get the right people working together, and let's do three things. Let's develop a strategic plan. Let's develop and implement a timeline with measurable milestones that we can all commit to. And let's take actions on the low-hanging fruit. Next slide, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Rick Velasco. I represent California State Soccer Association South, otherwise known as Cal South. Mike, thank you for the presentation. Our vision for the Santa Maria Valley is to ensure that an appropriate site is identified, acquired either through donations or acquisitions. So that is our main mission that we are talking about today. Next slide, please. I will give you some metrics on the next slide, and I believe you have copies of them too. Oops.
Stand by.
I won't cut into your time.
Time on. No. I could continue on if you like. You got the presentation in your hands, really.
Please, if you can.
Yeah. Basically, what we have in there, we could do a lot of metrics, a lot of charts and graphs. We have studied the whole population of Santa Maria and actually the Central Valley, including Norcod, Los Alamos, Nipomo, Sisquoc, and all the surrounding communities. At this point in time, all the leagues and clubs that actually are present here, and also the ones that we relate to, they're all non-profit organizations. We are a non-profit organization too. So all of us basically, except for the adult leagues on this graph, on this chart, they're not non-profits. So we're here to actually support all the youth of the community and also the mentally challenged and handicapped players. So we do have basically about 6,500 players currently in Santa Maria Valley, and that is including women, male and female players. We have the Santa Maria Bonita Junior High School, about 400. The YMCA on the futsal, they actually run about 300. So with a total of 6,500 players. Total recreational players, we got about 3,000. Youth competitive level, we got about 1,200. And the total adult, including male and female, is about 2,100. And total futsal is 300. So with that in mind, we could, the presentation is a little bit longer than that, so we only have 4 minutes. It shows that the scenario here is to give you a good sight as to how many fields we actually need, and currently we have. We have a very deficient environment for fields to accommodate these type, 6,500 players. We truly only have maybe probably one dedicated field, and I believe that's Atkinson. Okay. Okay, next, please. Our vision is actually to develop a complex that is going to be capable of having tournaments if we could have 20 tournaments in Santa Maria, you could actually translate that into an economic impact of $100 per individual times 4 or 5 complete families. That would translate to almost $5 million for the community. So to me, that's the economic impact. And we do have more shards and grabs that actually could send that. The youth of the Central Coast needs everyone's support in providing the additional recreational areas. We need to support to mitigate the current deficits. But most of all, we need to, the youth and the adult of the Central Coast, we need your support to provide future generations with suitable recreational facilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia Gudino.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Gudino. I live in this community. I've been here my whole life. I also play soccer in the Women's League here in town. And I had a great opportunity to take these women out of town to actually have a great experience in a stadium, actually, in Rebel Bank Stadium in Salinas. We were allowed to play there against a Monterey Bay team. And the experience that these women had was once in a lifetime. They've never had this before. Our league here in Santa Maria is not the professional kind that you have them playing since, maybe 1 or 2, that they're playing since they're little. But the other ones are mothers. They're, teenage girls that just want to have some fun. And we just get together on Sundays and we play the sport we love. During the week, we have to fight for space to actually practice, honestly. It's more like you have to get there an hour earlier to Manami Park or to Prescott or any other area here in town that actually has grass, and just reserve a small space so we can actually practice. I was here originally back in April in the meeting that you guys had originally for just an idea of a multi-sport complex. I do understand there's other sports out there that are requesting space, but you do need to focus on what soccer actually has here in town. And there is only one designated soccer field here in town, and it is Atkinson Park, Atkinson Field. That's all there is. The basins are basins. They have been modified for fields to be fields, but they're only basins. So pretty much what we're requesting here to the commission is One Community Action Coalition is helping us get together and getting these ideas out to you and getting all the research out to you, and locating also interim spaces or interim lots here in town that are just empty lots that are not being used for their full potential. They're just dirt. So we can actually identify those for you to see if we can actually help you in a way to make those open fields so kids can actually have a space to play soccer or to play any other sport that's out there. So we're trying our hardest to get this to you. And the Women's League is growing. At first it was maybe 18 teams, and now actually this season we're 26 teams, and we're 14 women in each team. And we take our kids out to the parks, and we take our, it's a whole generation playing soccer within this community. And pretty much we don't have anything. So we're just requesting you guys to please help us out in that. And we're here to help you too, to try to make this the best and easiest way that we can get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Andy Morales. After him, it's Cece Saskos. After Andy. So Andy and then Cece.
Hello, my name is Andy. I represent Santa Maria Valley Youth Soccer. I'm the current president for our league. And I just wanted to come and show support for not only our soccer complex that we're looking for, but like the gentleman said a few presentations before, we need some open space. It's our kids play different sports, whether it's baseball, soccer, basketball, and there's just a big need for it. Just to kind of give you an idea, we have about 100 teams for the San Maria Valley Soccer, so we kind of share the basin, and now because it got so big, we're also using Adams School. Well, you got to fight with the potholes and the, and the different areas, so that gives you an idea how badly we need, some bigger space for these kids. So we run 2 seasons at about 1,000 kids per season, so that's a little handful there. So we do the best we can with the area that we have, but if we had a bigger space, I'm sure that we can use that a lot more wisely for our children, whether it be in soccer or, like the gentleman said, if we were at the soccer complex, so there's a more open fields for baseball and vice versa. So it helps out the whole community in general. So wanted to show our support and let you know that we're also here to help you guys out and anything that we can do for you. I wanted to thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. After Cece, it's Mike Grogan.
Okay. Let me just look at my checklist. Hi, thank you for listening. My name is Cece. I'm representing the Central Coast Sharks Youth Rugby League, and I think a lot of people don't even know that we exist. We'll be starting our 6th season. Last year we had 75 players, 5 of which were girls for the first time, and they absolutely loved it. We've got girls coming up to us all the time asking how many girls we have on the team, so we really want to grow our club. We're a nonprofit organization, ages 8 through 18 for boys and 8 through 14 for girls. I don't know if any of you knew that rugby, this is the first year that rugby was in the Olympics. If you've ever watched a rugby 7th game, it's a lot of fun. There's some misconceptions about rugby, so I think people, when they hear about our league, they think rugby is not safe. It's actually safer than some other sports out there. There's less injuries than soccer, cheerleading. The NFL is actually adopting a lot of rugby-style tackling because there's a lot less injury. Another thing with rugby is that it's for any body type. We have kids that have never played in sports because they're really big and they're overweight, and they're not superstars on the soccer field or on the baseball field or even on the football field. Everybody gets to touch the ball in rugby. It's done so much for the self-esteem of some of the kids that have come to play. So right now we're kind of trying to find different places to play. We were at the gully over at Centennial Park for a little while. That was great. But with the rains, we couldn't play there anymore. We practice at Dunlap most of the time. There are no lights, so our season runs, we start practicing in November and we go through March. So it gets dark pretty early. So we're kind of looking for some lights. So when we heard about this possibility for soccer, or for this, I guess soccer complex is what we're calling it, right? We'd like to have a piece of that, or maybe something separate for rugby, because it's one of the fastest growing sports in America. Let's see, I gotta look at my notes again, sorry. I'm probably running out of time. So setting up the field takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time. We have to stripe our fields. We actually have, parents have to carry our goalposts out to the field to set them up. It's very time consuming, and we have a lot of help, but having a more permanent place with our stuff there would really just be amazing. Going back to women, the girls can only play until they're 14, so we have several girls who are already aged out and we'd love to start a women's league. I would love to play in a women's league, so I'm actually looking at the possibility of coaching. So we just would love to have a place to call home, and we'd just like you guys to keep that in mind. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. After Mike Grogan, it's Reynaldo Ruiz.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Mike Grogan. I don't play soccer, okay? I've never played soccer, but I had an experience about a year ago that I'd like to share with the Commission, and it kind of coincided with the whole One Community Action thing. I have a 27-year-old son that was living in the Bay Area, corporate accountant, moved to Modesto, California, went to work for a large winery there in their accounting department. And my wife wanted to go visit him, so we said, let's go, let's get in the car and go. So, it's like the Thursday before we're leaving Saturday. We talk about it. Friday, she's looking to get a motel room. She can't find one in Modesto. Eventually, we found a hotel room kind of outside of town, $150 a night in Modesto. Okay, this is Modesto. It's not Pismo or someplace like that. And it was because there was a large soccer tournament in town, kind of like this man said. So we did a little exploring, and I looked into it, and this is what I found. Modesto did a 40-acre complex. It's not just for soccer, but they have 20 acres in fields. I think 2 of the fields are lit. They have a restroom. They have some facilities. They have a lot of community involvement. They sell sponsorships. And on any given weekend, they have, like here, they have about 3,100 youth soccer people, players. Those, at the end of their season, that breaks down into about 15 or 20 club teams. And the local soccer people run tournaments. And those tournaments bring in anywhere from 70 teams or so into the community locally. They also are aligned with NorCal Soccer. And that's what we ran into. I mean, I'm telling you, there were soccer players, kids everywhere. I mean, every hotel room's booked. Every time we go back, we check and see what's going on because it is such an economic draw. And what I did learn in talking to them is they feel like they probably draw about 70 different teams for those big tournaments. And each family spends about $250 a day when they're in Modesto. So, there is, like the man said, an economic interest. And, and I agree with the baseball guys, there is a shortage of fields, so good open soccer space could be a boon. It could be a regional draw. They draw teams from Nevada, Oregon, all over. I think Santa Maria's weather could draw teams certainly from the Central Valley, from Southern California, Northern California, and there could be a side benefit to the children having, good places to play soccer. It could be an economic boon and create more tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. Will you be speaking together? You will be speaking? Okay. Oh,
Hi.
I
We
just
want
need,
to introduce ourselves. We're not ready to talk, but
okay.
I'm Consuelo, and this is Reynaldo Ruiz from the Santa Maria Valley Soccer League for Men. We've been in the area for quite a while, and we're all for the new complex. I mean, that would be great we have about 400 players on our league, and that would be, awesome for us. A couple months a year, our fields get taken away, and so we have to go to San Luis County and get fields over there. So all our money is going into a different county, which would be great for it to stay here in Santa Maria. And, well, we basically wanted to introduce ourselves to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jesus Arriola. Jesus Arriola. After Jesus is Mary Jaca.
Good afternoon. My name is Cece Arriola. I'm a coach for the Orchid Crusaders. These are some of my soccer team. Basically, I just wanted to come up here and just comment on our experiences going out of town to tournaments and how nice it would be for us to have soccer fields here. We go as far as Las Vegas and Oceanside, and usually we have trouble trying to find soccer places to play soccer here in Santa Maria. My boys have trouble getting places to soccer goals, so we need those for the boys to be able to practice a little bit better. We usually have trouble finding places when we want to have scrimmages against more competitive teams to come down here. I don't have nowhere to play, so the boys need that. Usually when it gets dark sooner, we have no places with lights where we could take the boys out there. Most of these fields around here are full of potholes where the kids can get hurt, so it would be nice if we could have a sports complex where they can go out there and be able to perform and do good. We're right in the middle of where you can play north versus south. It would draw a lot of people to bring for tournaments, so it would be nice. these are the boys. They could comment on how bad the fields are and how hard it is for us to get places. Luckily, right now we have a school that's letting us practice there, but we usually go to Atkinson Park. The other day we were out there practicing, and there was about a foot of water out there where we're trying to take shots. The kids are slipping, and it's a hazard for them. If we had a place to play where it was an actual field, it would be nice for them to get some good practice time in. You guys comment a little bit on how the fields are? Julian, tell them how the field was the other day. Go, come on.
Just give us a thumbs up if you'd like a sports field complex.
How was the field we were practicing the other day at Atkinson Park? Come on.
No pressure.
Liz, can you talk? I guess they don't want to talk, but anyways, it was pretty bad, and we do need them here. I mean, there's a lot of soccer players. Normally, most of my soccer team lives in the New Love area, and where they practice, they'll have like 5 feet of grass. It's in a decline, and then there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. Most of those people are low-income people. I have to go pick them up at their house and take them to find a proper place to practice. So it would be nice if we actually had a soccer complex where we can go over there and actually feel comfortable and not be run off by other people and have a proper place for them to practice. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Jaka. After Mary, it's Brenda Garcia.
I didn't break it. Good evening. My name is Mary Jaka, and I'm here to support the league. I'm president of the local chapter in Santa Maria of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, and also I'm a supporter and a member of One Community Action. I'm going to give the rest of my time to Mr. Romero.
Actually, I need a speaker slip.
We'll get you a slip. Can we do that?
I need you to speak
now?
Because you filled out the slip. It's just protocol, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. And there's many from the leagues that have approached Mr. Romero that is an active member of the community and works with the Latino families, and he was asked if he could go to the superintendent at the school districts to ask for loan of a space for them to practice and play. As others have mentioned, there's a great need. You've heard the numbers, the stats are there, the data's there. So under your leadership, I hope that you will meet with us, and we're going to think outside the box with you. And, we need to set up that committee so that we can come up with some great ideas together. And there's a big need in, not just soccer, as we've heard tonight. And I'm glad people are speaking up and coming to these meetings and expressing their needs, because, that's the only way you're going to know that there's a need besides soccer. So I want to thank you in advance, and I know that you will be giving either Cynthia or Cynthia Gudino a call, and we'd be happy to meet with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brenda Garcia.
Just need a couple seconds to set up. Hopefully this doesn't take time of my 4 minutes. If I could just have that. Can I?
Yeah, just
Okay.
quickly, please.
I hope I don't cry. This is all of Oscar Joaquin's stuff. He died in July 2015. He was murdered. And he plays soccer. Antonio actually coached him, and I didn't know that. But he's the one, and his school, Fessler. Did they win the championship that year that Oscar played soccer? Oscar Joaquin. And this is his trophy from 2007. This is Cubs belt from boxing. He just excelled in sports, and so I'm here representing him as his aunt, and just want to place this here. I'll take a deep breath, and then I'll do my speech. So, hello, my name is Brenda Garcia. I'm a resident of Santa Maria, a member. I've also been a board member and a coach at the Santa Maria Valley Youth Soccer Association, a member of One Community Action Coalition, a therapist at COM, local nonprofit, and the aunt of Oscar Joaquin. My nephew Oscar loved sports. He excelled in boxing and soccer. He had opportunities many do not have, such as being enrolled in sports, and freshman year attended St. Joseph High School. Unfortunately, there are many factors that affected him, and he experimented with drugs and became involved in gangs. Since his death, July 2015, there has been a spike rise in youth violence. It stays quiet, quote unquote, on the media, and then a new spike starts. Because these kids, youth, are faced with a life and death situation every single day when they step outside their house and even inside their home if there's violence or trauma. So these kids on a daily basis have so many risk factors to join gangs, become involved in drugs. And currently we have a spike in violence. So the most recent article on the Santa Maria Times, or KSBY, posted September 12th. Santa Maria family mourns the loss of teen killed in stabbing, 8 years old. Recently, September, gosh, I don't know when this was posted, but there's a missing teenager. January 29, 2016, Santa Maria teen charged with murder and death of newborn. Posted January 26, 2016, Santa Maria residents react to a double shooting and fatal stabbing on same day. So 25 and 29-year-old were stabbed, and 15-year-old Pioneer Valley High School student Marcos Arce Ramos died after being stabbed on East Donovan. Luckily there was arrests made. So, and then these are 2 articles currently about sex trafficking, adolescents. So this is all current stuff happening right now. And we are long overdue in having these conversations for youth development. They are faced with life or death situations each day in school, neighborhood, and the community at large. We are the Central Coast, and unfortunately, we are the hub of many social problems, which include sex and drug trafficking. Panga boats frequently found on our shores that this growing sex trafficking epidemic. We are Santa Maria, the largest city in Santa Barbara County. We do have many resources and primarily focus on intervention and suppression. We are lacking in preventative services and accesses to these services, sports being one of them. There are many organizations. Football costs $200, soccer about $70, basketball about $70, baseball about $60. As we know, many of our families are below or within the poverty level income guidelines. It is very difficult to enroll children in sports. I strongly support sports. It gives youth a positive outlet and impacts every aspect of development, not limited to cognitive health, social and emotional functioning. Many find them as safe havens. Sadly, yes, they do have some traumatic experience, such as abuse by coaches, but overall, it's something good for them. The city in 2013 did a city assessment document, Leisure Needs Assessment and Action Plan, about 103 pages document. One of the many activities identified as a need by the community back in 2013 was soccer. Then it listed 10 items as guiding principles item. Number 6 out of the 10 focused on nurture youth development. I wonder where the outcomes are. I appreciate and thank Parks and Recs and everyone involved in the creation of that lengthy document. I urge you to continue and really make things happen. We keep on burying our teens. Ya basta. Enough is enough. Let's focus on protective factors, build a community, and social connection is a protective factor, such as making this sports complex. And I don't want to call it soccer complex. Let's make a multi-purpose sport complex, more for rugby, soccer. I imagine this multi-purpose sports complex plus a boxing ring. Boxing is a need. Let's train and raise more Olympians like Carlos Valderas and Josh Prennett. And let's not raise gang members or fill our jails with our teenagers or bury them any longer.
Thank you. Pati?
Hello. I'm a helper. My name is Patty Cantu, and I live in Nipomo, and I am a member of One Community Action Coalition. I'm also the current secretary for Santa Maria Valley Youth Soccer Association, a coach for my 15-year-old, and a coach for my 6-year-old's team. My kids have been involved in many different sports, but the majority has been soccer. This is our soccer banner. And how many here are here for the soccer complex? How many want a soccer complex or soccer fields? So this soccer banner here represents 15 years worth. All of these buttons are all of my kids that have played soccer, and they represent hundreds of hours spent driving my kids to and from practice. This banner represents early Saturday games, me filling up goodie bags for the end of the game, snacks, cutting oranges, and it also represents a culture that lives here in Santa Maria. This culture is the soccer culture. I think that I personally love soccer. I never played soccer, but I enjoy watching my kids play. I know that they end up having really good friends, and it's just very good for the children. I also see that there's a need for it. So in playing this year, I have 4 of my kids that are playing for Santa Maria Valley Youth Soccer Association, and there was too many kids on the basin, so we're having to play with Orchid over at Dunlap and Crossroads, so I'm having to run around on Saturday all over town. If we had a soccer complex, we could all be in one set place. So, and I think we could have space for rugby and other sports as well if we can make it big enough, but if you can have more designated areas for soccer, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing as that was our last speaker slip. And I'm going to bring it to discussion back to the commission and the staff. Alex?
Commissioner Velasco, just very quickly, for the record, I want to indicate that we did get an email from Sabrina Sander, who is associated with, let's see here, South San Luis Obispo, the Central Coast Condors, and she's just, again, supporting the need not only in Santa Maria, but in the Central Coast for a facility that would have multiple fields. She sent some photos. I will put this out for you all to take a look at, and then we'll add it to the record. Basically, she supports the idea of a complex.
Is that the last email you have?
That was the only information that I received, yes,
So we'll
via
go ahead
email.
and close it then, and then we'll move to discussion. That concludes our public comment, public hearing. We will, as a commission, be discussing. At this time, we won't be taking any questions or comments from the public.
So, Commissioners, you obviously heard that there's a strong interest and emotion associated with the need for additional sports fields. I do want to make it clear to the group that's here, and I've said it at every meeting I think that I've attended over the last couple of months, that the City Council has made the need of sports fields a priority for them. It's right up there with the police, fire, those typical services that this community comes to expect. So our charge as staff, from the City Council is to work on those priorities. One way or the other, even if the group hadn't come forward, we would have challenged that. It would have been a challenge for us this year to start looking at the need of addressing those fields. What's kind of led us to this point over the years has been obviously the growth of the community, the growth of the sports teams, as Mr. Velasco showed in his little chart that he handed out to you all. The teams are growing, and that's soccer. But there are the other sports. Mr. Molina talks about softball, baseball. Santa Maria has a long history of being a baseball community. And so the newbies, the rugby and lacrosse groups that are coming out, all those take space. We have had the discussion in this chambers many times about the lack of facilities out there in the community. One of the speakers brought up the leisure assessment. The leisure assessment identified the need back in 2013, and I think through the efforts of the commission and the leisure assessment, we were able to communicate that to the council And, excuse me, and so now it's ended up on the priority list. I don't think that any of the members of the commission need to be convinced that we need additional sports fields and additional open space. I think that's just a given. But what's happened over time is the critical need is that when development is taking place now in the city, we're looking at very small parcels of land, looking at a park, for a park site. Just to recap real quickly, the most recent development that's going on right now is the Harvest Glen development on Blosser. And that development is adjacent to the new Jimenez School. There is a park parcel that's about 3.5 acres. And you really can't do much on 3.5 acres. It's adjacent to the school, which is, again, great because we're able to look at joint use of those facilities. And we are working with the district on that particular site on a joint use agreement for that. There's another retention basin, and I know that people have mentioned them in the past, and they are the open space. This commission has battled that discussion several years in a row, too, that why are sports teams relegated to retention basins. It's a good dual use. I think that it allows us to provide space that probably 85% of the time, or more recent years, 95% of the time, isn't encumbered by water. It also beautifies your area, your neighborhoods, if you happen to live in them. So there's some pros and cons to basins used as sports facilities. But I think that as the community has grown and these groups have grown and development comes in, the land gets so valuable. I believe an acre of developable land in the city of Santa Maria, according to our last assessment, was about $370,000 just for the plain dirt. So, if you're looking at a 50-acre soccer complex or a 20-acre soccer complex, you can kind of do the math there and see that it's a lot of money. But that's beyond the issue. I think right now when a developer is looking at providing parkland, they're looking at providing the minimum possible, and in many cases trying to negotiate their way out of having to provide any land. And the city is at this point in time is pretty landlocked. We do have 2 new developments, as I mentioned. One of them is the Harvest Glen project. We also have the Enos Ranchos project, which is again going to be a retention basin area, will be the sports play field area. It's not quite big enough to do full games in them. They're really more practice areas. The existing parks that we have are well utilized, beyond well utilized. We have worked out, last year the commission approved the use of temporary lighting at some of our facilities, and so we've done that the last couple of years, and that has worked out to expand the practice time during we're back on standard time. But probably the biggest impact has been the inability for these groups to access the school fields the last couple of years, as the schools have secured their sites for the purposes of keeping their students safe. They've secured those sites, and now those play fields that used to be co-used or co-mingled with the city facilities are no longer available. There has been really good dialogue with Santa Maria Bonita School District. The commission had a meeting with the board a couple of months ago. Have a follow-up meeting scheduled with Superintendent Ontiveros. I know that the soccer, at least one of the soccer groups, has spoken to the superintendent and brought the issues to them, and I think we're going to see some movement to make those fields available. So it's a big process just to deal with what we have today. So now let's talk about a complex. You're talking a much-needed facility, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that no matter who's doing the project, it's going to take time and it's going to take money. And I think that's shouldn't be a reason for us not to do it, but just so that everybody understands that's the criteria. And if I'm glad to see that the sports groups have gotten themselves together, and maybe they even need to expand out and reach out to some of the other sports organizations, because it could be a multi-purpose, I think the way it was referred to, kind of a facility. So tonight, what we would like to do is, from a staff perspective, if you have any questions from any of the presentations, Jim Davis, Parks Manager, can address any of the issues related to our existing facilities. Then my suggestion is that the commission look at appointing 2 commissioners to kind of go through all the public comments tonight and come back to you in October with a plan. That plan could include creating a community-based committee where we could get more community participation. We could do a number of different things in that regard. But I think if you'd like to have a little discussion on the items, if there are any questions, staff is here to try to happy to answer those.
So we'll go ahead and take any questions. Commissioner Grogan?
Can you explain the situation out at the landfill?
So originally there was a plan that would take a couple of hundred acres of the city landfill on the east end of town and create a park there. And a lot of the park space would be sports fields. As we looked at that closer and the new regulations around the use of landfills for those kinds of uses, the regulatory parts of it made it, financially impossible to pursue. There was a nice master plan laid out over the area, but when we started looking at things like, watering turf and planting trees and, building infrastructure out there, it was just not a place that made sense to go to for the dollars.
Commissioner Henderson?
I wanted to thank everybody for coming out. I think that it's really good to hear everybody's perspective. There's a great deal of passion and desire from this group in the community. To hear your personal stories and to hear from parents and players, community members and coaches, I think that it's nice to see everybody out here. I think that we share your desires. I think that I don't think there's a single person that you can find that doesn't want this for our community. I think that we're excited to kind of look into this and delve in and see where to go next. But I just wanted to start by saying thank you for coming out. Thank you for sharing your stories and getting them on record.
Commissioner Spray?
Well, following up what Laura was saying, I also want to thank you for coming out and many of the speakers did make the point, which is an important one. It's going to take the community, not just the commission, not just the council. It's going to take this entire community to see something like this happen. But it will happen with the enthusiasm that I've heard tonight. If you can keep that enthusiasm going and spread that enthusiasm out there in the community, it will happen. That it's just going to be a matter of time and money. Many ideas have come forward already. There was an idea presented last month, which we don't know if it's viable or not. That the old where the Aqua Center was going to be in Orchid, that might be a viable option because it's no longer going to be an Aqua Center, but there's land there. So but it's going to take the entire community, possibly outside of this community, to see something like this take place. So, but I think it's time to move forward with it, definitely.
Also just like to thank everybody for coming, but I think we all agree we're all going to have to commit for the long haul. It's not going to happen in a year or two. Unfortunately, we'd all love it for it to happen sooner, but we would need your support, the community. We're going to continue to need your support and your ideas and your input. And like my fellow commissioners have said, really bringing it outside of this room, outside of this group, because there's people from San Luis County, Ventura County that would probably be very excited if Santa Maria had a multi-sports field complex, because then they would be able to play locally instead of having to drive 5 hours every weekend. Any other questions?
So Commissioner Velasco, what I would like to suggest is that the commission look at appointing a committee to lead this, and then from that meet with staff over the next month, go over the material that we heard today, and then come back to your October meeting with a plan that the commission can review. And at that point in time, then the commission can take action on what the next step is going to be.
So I'd like to appoint a special committee, not a committee aside from our capital projects committee, to look at this because it is a bigger project, unless the two commissioners that are sitting on the capital projects committee want to chair or take on this project under that. And I don't know who that is.
I think it might
Be
help us
you.
all if we went through all of the committees.
Sure. So, and thank you, I happen to have that right here in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
So the Budget Commission Committee is Commissioner Spry and Commissioner Velasco. Park Development, which is the Capital Projects Committee, is Commissioner Henderson, and then we have a vacancy.
What committee was that?
Park Development. Community Partnerships Committee is Commissioner Spry and a vacancy. The Play Board is Commissioner Velasco. The Arts Committee is Commissioner Henderson and Commissioner Grennan. And the All-America City Committee is Commissioner Henderson and Commissioner Grennan.
So we could be the Partnerships Committee, which is Spry, and there's a vacancy, not looking at anybody in particular. And then we have the Park Development, that's Commissioner Henderson, also a vacancy.
Yes.
I would feel more,
I think it needs to be separate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're asking for input, it's such a big thing, and the Park Development Committee is
already
already
big.
I would agree. I would
Yes.
think it needs to be a separate committee.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and see if anybody volunteers to Commissioner Grennan, and then if I have a second person that would like to appoint themselves. Or I will be ad hoc.
Well, I would be glad to help, but I'm a short timer. So I hate to start something that I wouldn't be able to continue to participate after the end of this year.
We could always make sure that you get an appointment. You know, we can talk to those other new council members coming on board.
No,
Kirk,
We're not looking at
you'll have to be
anybody.
about 30 years old to be
No
still
pressure.
alive when
I
this
know.
is resolved. so.
But if it is just, at this point, reviewing the information that came out tonight, and that's going to be done over the course of the next month, that I might be able to help with.
And again, your chair serves as your ad hoc committee member, so if you can't make it, then I would be,
Okay.
okay.
And I'm happy to help in whatever way that I can. I don't want to.
Madam Chair and Mr. Posada, being my first night on this, I'm willing to jump in, but I'm still learning, and
No pressure.
yeah, we'll be happy to serve where needed.
Okay.
Thank you, and I think
Thank you.
we'll give Commissioner Burnett some time to
Okay.
settle in, and then maybe by the next meeting.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and appoint Commissioner Grennan and Commissioner Spry to the multi-sport field complex
Yes.
committee.
And that'll be staffed by Mr. Davis,
Okay.
so he'll be your contact.
So as a committee, we would like for you to come back at the October commission with a report summarizing what was heard today, and then kind of develop an action plan on how the commission should proceed to engage interested groups and a rough timeline for the next 4 to 6 months. Yes? Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. And again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We love having guests. So we'll move on. Informational reports, budget update.
Good evening, Commissioners, and good evening to our community members that are probably on their way out, but you're welcome to stay. In the first period of the 2016...
We'll go ahead and give them some time to clear.
After I did that,
Oh, okay.
that helped. I just kept thinking about that. I opened my mouth. Gee, I'm not here. So, but I would be glad to meet as a committee. I guess 3 of us can't really meet.
Oh, true.
We'll work it out.
Should we ask them to be quiet?
Sorry? No.
This I know well.
Teresa, if you want to, hopefully, I think that's the last of them.
Once again, good evening, commissioners and community members that are remaining with us. At the end of the first period of our 2016-17 budget, we have been expended at 6.39%, which leaves us already at a cost savings of almost 2%. And that's all we have to report on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Noteworthy activities. Any comments on those? I heard great things about concerts in the park all summer from anybody that attended, and so they were well received. So good job.
Thank you. We have a great staff.
Any other comments?
And this is also relative to concerts in the park, but the last concert, I believe, was at Rotary Centennial Park in that Downer Basin. I got one complaint about that, and that was just that the next morning, there was still a lot of debris that was all over, that was kind of blowing down the street. And I'm not sure, normally it's gone right away, but it wasn't for this particular morning. And I did see that, so just want to pass that.
That was in the basin at Rotary Centennial Park. And it
I was commenting about one of the concerts in the park, the most recent one at Rotary Centennial Park. I think it was the last one. It was held. It was a huge one. I mean, it was well attended. But some of the trash and debris wasn't cleaned up quite as quickly as what it had been in previous concerts. And some of the trash, I got a complaint that was blowing down the streets the next morning, on Monday morning. Yeah, exactly. I'll go out there and pick it up myself.
We thank you for volunteering.
Was this something?
Yes, just
that we
quick
missed?
little comments that I'd like to do. I'm sorry, it's, there's a director's report. Oh, there, it's not, there should be an item C under director's items.
Sorry.
Just for your knowledge, I provided you a couple of things. One of them is the map for for Enos, the Enos house relocation. That's kind of the tentative design that we're looking at right now. There's a meeting tomorrow with the city building department, city engineering, our architect, our landscape architect, and the civil engineer who's designing the park components. And we're going to all sit down at a table in one spot and try to finally hammer out the location, hammer out what needs to happen in order to move forward. We do have a contractor who has designed the foundation for the house. Our goal was to try to get that foundation in the ground and the house set by the end of September. It's probably not going to happen. We're probably looking at the October, maybe early November timeframe. There's two motivations for that. One of them is we'd like to get the house secured and off the dollies that it's on, and then we can move to the next step, which is the evaluation of the structure itself for a renovation remodel. And the other one is that it's $1,000 a month rental for those things that it sits on. So they gave us 90 days free, and then after that we start accumulating the $1,000 a month.
And the Recreation and Parks is paying for that? Or
Yes.
Out
Yeah.
of?
It comes out of our developer fees. So we want to get that done.
Alex, I'm sorry, who do we pay that rent to?
To the owners of the dollies at the
Oh, the
house
dolly,
sits
the
on.
dolly people, okay.
Yes.
Where it's, so, I'm sorry, I believe what you just said is we're not sure where it's going to be yet exactly, and do we know the orientation of the building that it's going to be relative to the street?
Yes, the orientation will be the same as it was when it was up on the hill. It will be facing east.
Okay.
It will sit approximately 50 feet west of Bradley Road. And if you look at it on the drawing there, it's that location is approximate, but we'll actually define where that's going to be. The things we need to do is build a pad so that the house sits at a particular elevation out there, relevant to the street, relative to the street. And then we can build the foundation and then set the house on it. That's the only major component of this project right now. The rest of the park will develop over time. So we're going to see some dirt there for a while. As you know, the park fees come from residential development. So all the commercial that's going on now pays a very modest amount into the park fund. So the bulk of our funds will come when the residential component happens there. And again, we're not sure when that's going to happen. So the basin itself that's being worked on right now, that the developer is required to go ahead and put grass in an irrigation system and some basic trees kinds of things. So that will happen. But the remainder of the park parcel will be pretty much as you see it today. It'll have to be graded for the park once the park project starts moving forward. But the concept, the basic design is what you have in front of you today.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. Any official business conducted by a member?
For the record, excuse me. Sorry. We should disclose that we have been meeting with the Soccer One Community Action Committee soccer group for the last couple of weeks. Myself and Commissioner Velasco met with him last night in a kind of a pre-meeting. And I've met with them and gone to a couple of other meetings that they've had.
So yes, I met with Alex and the group last night for a pre-meeting for our public comment here.
Commissioner Grogan and I attended the August 16th Master Arts Plan at the Maldonado Center, and it was very well attended. Lots of great questions and input and comments. No real changes to what was already written, which I thought was kudos to the written plan. And everybody seemed pretty enthusiastic.
That item will be coming back to you in October, right, is our plan. So it'll come back to you as an October agenda item, and we'll delve into it a little bit more.
Okay. I also attended Taste of Mexico on Friday as a play and commissioner, helped pour beverage. That was really fun. We had a lot of good restaurants, so kudos to the department for getting a lot of new restaurants out there. There was a variety of food, and everybody seemed to be having a really good time. There was a new exhibit that the tequila tasting that was really popular, so good fundraiser for us.
I appreciate all the emails too on upcoming events. It's a nice reminder. We're getting them from different people, and I appreciate it. Keep it coming.
And I like yours too, so thank you.
All right. Any?
Yes.
Teresa?
You've been asking, the commissioners have been asking for a special events calendar for some time. And we are working with Mark Vandekamp in the city manager's office. When you go to the City of Santa Maria website, there is a calendar already there. What they're going to do is add an additional tab of all the recreation and parks events. It's going to take a while because if we put all of our info in there, we may have a challenge because there's so much. However, but we did hear you, and we're working very hard to make that request come to fruition for you.
Thank you.
Last thing this Saturday is the city employee barbecue at the Maldonado Center. The commissioners got invitations to help with the event, so if you have time, please let us know. We will start serving at 12:30, I believe, and then commissioners typically will help serve to the employees that are there. We expect about 600 people, so if you have some time and would like to come by, please let me know, and we'll let Councilmember Orrock, who's in charge of the serving line, take care of that.
You start serving at 12 o'clock?
Come get your apron, we'll give you your sign, just like we always do, 12 o'clock.
I just want to check on you. I'll watch.
Commissioner Grennan has asked that he be allowed to have the left-handed serving items only.
Unwashed.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. If we don't have any other questions or comments, we're going to go ahead and adjourn to our next regular business meeting that returns at 4 o'clock, October 11th. We'll adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, before.